Hello everybody and welcome back to another episode of Let's Play Hard West. In the previous episode we finished A Matter of Time and began on Earth as it is in Hell. And like I said at the end of that, I decided to read through. Seems as though the first posse member is the only one you really need to make a decision on. And you basically have a choice between Cervantes, who's good at close quarters, starts with a missing forefinger, which gives him some decent base stats. But if you recruit him, then you miss out on Matthews and potentially Chavoyo. I'm probably butchering that name. So, even though for certain story reasons that I will not go into, I might want to recruit Cervantes, I'm actually going to skip on him. And just to make sure, I'm going to tell him that now. You arrived at a burial place. It was reputed to belong to one of the four evangelists, a band of four brothers named Mark, Matt, Luke, and John. A tall red-clad figure sat on the tomb. He presented himself as Grand Inquisitor Cervantes. He told you that each of the brothers' tombs contained an inscription that told part of the story. If somebody read the story in the correct order, it would reveal the location of the gang's stash. He said he had been sent by a mutual acquaintance to help with your perilous endeavor. Cervantes claimed to be good with a gun and have a way with words. His services were at your disposal if you wanted them, but you had to make your choice now. Decline. Then we're going to want to head for the army camp. The camp was nearly deserted. Only a couple of sentries remained. Burns was nowhere to be seen. As an outlaw, approaching openly would guarantee a hostile response. You could take the men out one by one, but it would likely yield less information about where Burns was. Let us eavesdrop. Sneaking past the guards was simple. You saw Sergeant talking with one of his subordinates and managed to eavesdrop on their conversation. It seemed Burns was leading an attack on a nearby Indian village. Though vulnerable, you continued listening, hoping to gain more insights. Apparently, Commander Burns was a decorated war hero with a reputation for risky methods. His most notorious achievement had been to infect himself with smallpox, then intentionally be captured by the natives, infecting them in turn. The resulting plague decimated their population, allowing the army to wipe out the survivors without sustaining a single casualty. Burns had survived, his facial scarring a testament to his bloody-mindedness. You thought about ways to use this information to your advantage. Armed with this knowledge, you were about to retreat from the camp and walked straight into a sentryman. You emerged from the resulting gunfight wounded, but victorious. You limped away from the camp, taking some supplies. Gushing wound. But we did get a musket, a healing elixir, and 2 dried meat. Now we're going to want to head for the massacre site. A plume of smoke visible from miles away guides you to the site of the pacification. The village was in ruins, littered with body parts. The armory had not even spared the women and children. The place was deserted, save for a single figure sitting on a rock, his head in his hands. You approached him. It was Jefferson Burns. If you recruit Cervantes, then Burns will have already committed suicide from this. Your mangled visage convinced Burns that you were the devil incarnate. He said he was ready for his punishment. You asked why he would start having second thoughts now, after a long, untroubled career of Indian killing. Burns gave a grim chuckle. He had always respected the natives. The story of him infecting himself to wipe out a village was a tall tale his superiors had concocted to inspire the grunts. Burns had always respected the natives, but he had also believed in the power of American authority. Until now. Now he longed for a chance to redeem his sins before he exited this world. You told him he could redeem himself by freeing the souls trapped in purgatory. He sat silent for several minutes considering your words. Just as your patience was waning, he grabbed his bundle and his gun. Saying a worthy goal like yours deserved a willing servant. He would follow you. As you turned to leave, Burns spoke again.
The next candidates were Randy Harden, a notorious gunfighter, and Henry Persons, a former Pinkerton agent. The local crime lord would know where to find them.
Burns said he had allowed a group of natives to escape, though his men had tried to hunt them down. He was positive some of them had survived and would be coming for their revenge. Burns said that if you were looking for them, they'd be at their sacred ground. You said you would think about it. Now, Burns has average stats, but he does come with a musket and a navy gun. Pretty good weapons to have. Now, we can go to the Sacred Grounds and recruit Cheveo, and he's actually got some pretty good stats in terms of aim, 70, which would make him a good sniper, but he's also got, well, he's very squishy, very low maximum HP. Let's see. Well, next up, no matter what you choose, your next destination is going to be the Wizard. Your party came upon a circus tent set up incongruously in the middle of the Badlands. As you neared, you saw it was surrounded by armed men wearing clown makeup. A sign read, "The Dazzling House of Peculiar and Strange." Your previous travels told you this was Algredo Mystics gang. Their leader, Wizard Algredo, had a reputation for making things and people disappear without a trace. The house offered all sorts of cheap entertainment. We're gonna actually want to spend 30 gold in total to watch every freak show, which will get us a card and be granted a permanent plus 20 max luck buff. Thalgrim the Techno-Mage was a gentleman in a top hat presenting his perpetual motion device. In it, a ball traveled endlessly through a looping maze of funnels, drains, wheels, and cogs. Apparently propelled by the power it generated, the Techno-Mage offered to sell it to anyone willing to pay his astronomical fee. You didn't feel compelled to jump at his generous offer. You watched a quartet of trapeze artists known as the Biscoito Brothers, high up near the ceiling of the tent. Victor Paulo, Alex, and Raphael performed amazing feats of human agility. You knew a fall from that height would kill anyone, but the show ended safely with a shocking salto mortal that garnered a standing ovation from the crowd. Ixnay Josh and Jamie Harris were a knife-throwing act. The woman bore numerous scars, and Ixnay Josh was missing a couple fingers. Still, his aim was unerring, despite his obvious affinity for strong liquor. The show advertised Grunks, a wild beast of uncanny strength, but while Grunks was very hairy, he was definitely human. His act consisted of lifting increasingly heavy objects. After every feat, the audience demanded more, and Grunks obliged. Until, on lifting the heaviest object on stage, a loud crack resounded across the tent, and mighty Grunks fell to the ground and was carried away by other strongmen. A gypsy fortune teller was reading palms for the patrons. According to her sign, she was Daciana Maduva, Mystic Seer. As you approached, she became fixated on you, her horrified mouth agape. Finally she screamed, "Foul Hellion! I never laid a hand on those puppies!" Then slammed her kiosk shut and ran away. Alrighty then. Phoenix Jarkith was a fire dancer who leapt through blazing loops, hopped over burning poles, and blew giant plumes of fire from her mouth. She crowned her act by taking a cigar from one of the gawking spectators with her foot, then lighting it with a fiery plume and returning it to the patron's mouth. As she bowed, the people showered her with dimes. For a moment, these displays of human talent provided welcome distraction. For a moment, at least, you felt relaxed and inspired. You left the tent and its weirdness behind. On your way out, a queer fellow tapped you on the shoulder. He said something about recognizing a fellow connoisseur, then bit hard into your flesh. You pushed him away and he quickly retreated, tipping his hat. For the rest of the day, you had a strange aftertaste in your mouth. Oh, and the gushing wound is from eavesdropping over here. You returned to the wizard's house. The place looked creepy as ever. "We want to see the wizard, the wonderful wizard of the Weird West." A tall, gaunt man introduced himself as Sean Vermillion. He said the wizard was waiting for you and offered you a complimentary drink. A single shot glass filled with a cold, yellowish liquid sat on the tray. Vermillion looked at you expectantly. Well, after a moment's hesitation, you downed the glass. Vermillion led you through the dark corridors lined with colorful circus posters. Finally, you passed through a flap door and into complete darkness. Vermillion was nowhere to be seen. You were trying to make out what might be in the dark room. With a heavy thunk of machinery, a single spotlight appeared. A tall figure stood in it, wearing some sort of cloak. You You wanted to walk toward the figure, but your legs didn't react. You just stood there, watching. A sudden flash of light blinded you, the shock making you fall to the ground. When you opened your eyes, the room was brightly lit by floating orbs of cold blue light. A short, bald man wearing a long robe and strange eyeglasses stood above you. Sean Vermillion stood behind him. The small man presented himself as Wizard Algretto and claimed he had business with you. He told you to nod your head if you wanted a lengthy explanation or shake it if you wanted him to cut to the chase. You nodded, doing your damnedest to stare him to death. The wizard smiled and commended you on your choice to accept the drink. It meant he didn't have to resort to violence to make you listen to him. He said he knew who you were and who you were looking for, and that you should give up now. The wizard considered Hardin his property, and said the man was currently detained where he belonged. Persons, though, was a different matter. Henry Howard Persons used to work in the Pinkerton Special Division, but several years of his service were blank. The wizard assured you that Persons was quite insane, but that he found the man fascinating, especially his obsessive search for pieces of a specific meteorite. Apparently no law or property or human decency could stop him in his quest to acquire these pieces. He was the ultimate collector. Therefore, the wizard continued, if you wanted to make contact with Persons, you need to find the pieces of the meteorite. And you were in luck. When the meteor traveled through the Earth's skies, it left a trail of debris in this very area. All you had to do was obtain some of these pieces in whatever way you deemed acceptable. 4 pieces would be enough to attract the strange man's attention and make him emerge from hiding, the wizard said. With these words, the wizard nodded to his men to take you away. Okay then, well, if Burns has joined your posse, we're going to want to travel to El Vaquero, or the Vaquero, and buy 3 bottles of liquor. This had once been a thriving town. Now it was reduced to a single bar, the Vaquero, run by the former mayor, Marshal Todd Mabby. It seemed liquor and tobacco were the only things that sold on this forsaken road. You entered the bar's large courtyard. The bar was populated by a seedy mix of farmers, cowboys, and lowlifes. In addition to drinks, the Vaquero also offered trade. Okay then. Well, we're gonna need 3 bottles of liquor. Hoping we'll have enough cash afterwards for some other things. And then we want to head for the disbanded army men, wherever the heck they are. Necropolis, Matthew's Tomb, Coach Wagon, Orchid House. Ah, there they are. A rowdy and unruly group of men in worn-out uniforms were camped on the track. Recognizing Burns, they greeted him like a brother. Their leader, Lieutenant Michael Scott, had been trying to arrange liquor, tobacco, and opium for his companions without attracting the attention of the authorities in town. Okay. Well, let's give him the alcohol, which will grant us the inspiration buff. Grateful for your gift, the soldiers invited you to camp with them that evening. Burns seemed at ease for the first time since you met. Ultimately, their good mood and high spirits cheered even you. You woke up happy, if a little hungover. And that gets us +5 aim and +5 defense. Pretty good. Note that this will stay with you even if Burns were to leave your party, quote-unquote. You can do this by replacing him with Cheveo here, but I don't know if I'm going to bother with this. After this, we're going to want to head for Matthew's Tomb. You're looking at Matthew's tomb. Read the inscription. Mark was the eldest of the brothers and had always followed his orders, but John harbored a secret bitterness. When they finally tracked down the masked doctors responsible for the atrocities, he disobeyed his eldest command to provide cover. Without his brother's protection, Matthew was riddled by bullets. They buried him here. Okay. You'll find an inscription on each evangelist's tomb, even though the tombs have already showed up. And once you read them, you can try to solve the riddle. I'm going to try this. The beginning of the story was the test of reaction, Mark's story. The second part of the story was the test of agility, Matt's story. The third part of the story was the test of emotion, Jean's story. and the finale was Luke's story, The Test of Recovery. The letters formed words, and the words formed sentences. They spelled out the location of the four evangelists' secret stash. And with that, we're going to head to the evangelist stash. Where is it? Ah, there it is. I hate it when the markers get covered up by on-screen VUI. Bland, unmarked grave matched the directions decrypted from the evangelist tomb inscriptions. Your long digging effort was rewarded with finding a substantial material findings of substantial material value. Yes, from that we get a one-armed bandit, which is one of the trinkets, a bulletproof vest, a medical bag, and a stun bomb. That's the last of the side events for now. So, let's start collecting and absorbing the meteor pieces. First things first, we're going to want to travel to the necropolis. You arrived in an area dominated by sinkholes and mud pits. It served as a graveyard of sorts, allowing coffins to simply sink into the bog was highly economical. Your reflections were interrupted by the sight of a tall figure pacing back and forth across the necropolis. In the morning mist of the surreal landscape, he looked like an apparition. Dressed all in black and carrying a shovel, he looked as though he must be an undertaker. If the rumors about like that hunting for you were true, weirdly phrased sentence, this man could be dangerous. Do not shoot him. You tried to find out his identity. The man's polite greeting turned to excitement as he realized who you were. His name was Shane Carter Holmes, and he recognized you from your hunt for the masked man. Between coffins and funeral services, your one-man slaughterhouse routine, as he called it, had made him a pretty penny. He'd been looking for you for weeks to express his thanks. He handed you a stack of useful items, including some cash and a piece of the meteor. The piece of the meteor in your hand heated up, melted, and sank into your skin. You felt empowered, but if you wanted to collect these pieces to drive persons out of hiding, you had to avoid burning them up. Don't. Trust me, you're better off absorbing them. Sight cured, nothing escapes your gaze. Okay then, next we're going to be heading for the church. It'll be part of some ornamental displays. If Cervantes is part of your party, then you will get a special option to acquire the piece without incident. But if not, well, then you'll have to take it by force. The local chapel used a piece of the meteor as the main jewel adorning its communion chalice. Vicar Simmons Sams, who the locals respectfully call Bishop, refused to surrender the stone. Your only option was to shoot him and face whatever consequences there were for killing a man of God on consecrated soil. The vicar never stood a chance. You claimed the meteor, but as you touched it, you began coughing badly. You collected another piece of the meteor. Burning it up would give you extra power, but keeping them would help you recruit another companion. Absorb it. We're gonna get persons no matter what. Alright, that got us swiftness. Fast as the wind. Now we're gonna want to head for the illegal mine. Where is this illegal mine? There it is. Or sorry, mines. You came across a prospecting site where a group of slaves toiled in narrow, coffin-sized holes in the ground, hauling silver from beneath the earth. It was doubtful these mines were sanctioned by the authorities. Rumor had it Mr. Brecky, one of the proprietors, had a collection of precious stones. A piece of the meteor was his most prized piece. If you have Burns in your posse, you can requisition it. But if not, you'll be forced to kill the owner, which will get us a disease, much like it did before. You told Burns that he should handle this one. Burns was accustomed to giving orders, and the appearance of authority he presented himself and his deputies as a special task force that regulated mining operations in the area. Mr. Brecky and Mr. Gulfrey immediately became meek and made overtures toward a bribe. After some more stern negotiating, Burns was able to extract the meteor from them without resorting to violence. As the two of you walked away, Burns smiled for the first time since you'd met him. Except for the time we met those disbanded army men. Absorb it. That gets us firmness. No more shaky hands. Plus 10 aim. Now then, we're going to want to head to the Rojas Tannery. If I can find it. Garo, Brothel, Cougar Trails, Grand Necropolis. Oh boy. Gets the feeling I looked right at it. Didn't even see it. Ah, yep. What'd I tell ya? The stench of tanning liquids was smothering, but the tanner was rumored to possess a piece in the meteor. So you pressed on. When you told him what you were looking for, he shrugged. He had once used the piece in the tanning vat to speed up the reaction. Now, though, he'd found a reliable source of the tanning catalyst and didn't need the meteor anymore. Unfortunately for you, however, it lay at the bottom of a vat full of toxic material. If you were desperate enough, you could simply reach for it. Oh boy. Anybody who reaches in is going to get a disease, so may as well have Warren do it. He cursed and gave it a shot. You put your hand in the vat, feeling the bottom for the stone. Your hand only felt a little warm, but when you finally found the meteor shard and withdrew it, you were severely burned. Burn it. Absorb its power. What do we get from it? We got nothing? The hell? Well, that was a waste. And then the fifth piece will be in the possession of a merchant who opened a shop at the Orchid House. The inconspicuous ranch from the main road housed a black market which dealt in contraband of all kinds. We're gonna need to make a deal with him, but we're going to want to sell off all our junk at his shop, because after accepting the deal, we won't be able to sell anything else at this location. Now let's see what we got to sell. Medical bag. No, I'll probably need that. Dried meat, a generous portion. Beef jerky. Increases maximum HP. I'm pretty sure it's temporary, but who knows. Noise bomb. I never use these items. Petrification bolts. Again, I never use these items. Vitality elixir. Grants healing over time. Restores full health. May as well hold on to those. Bulletproof vest. Might need that. Stun bomb I'll sell off. It's not much, but it's some gold. You asked if they knew anything about a meteor piece. When you made your unusual demand, Yuna Ackerman, the merchant, looked agitated. He considered a rock a lucky charm and was unwilling to give it up. If he did, he would charge you more for the rest of his goods to make up for his loss. Check up the opportunity. Okay. You agreed to Ackerman's arrangement. So you can, but it's just going to cost you way more. Yuna Ackerman handed you the meteor and reminded you that he would mark up his prices from this point forward. Absorb it. We got endurance. You had all the meteor pieces you needed. As you returned to the main road, you saw one of the wizard's operatives approaching from the opposite direction. It was Miguel El Hermoso Ochoa, a fierce bounty hunter. He said that if you had enough meteor pieces, he would lead you to Persons. Let's explain what happened. Ochoa was furious. The wizard had told you to get the pieces intact. He drew on you, but your companions were alert and on guard. Ochoa fell dead, riddled with bullets. You found the instructions in Ochoa's pocket from the wizard. They told the exact location of Persons. Okay. I would like to get rid of those diseases, but gushing wound. Oof. That is going to be useful. Ah, boy. Burned hand and rattling cough. Burned hand is offset by firmness. Rattling cough is somewhat offset by inspiration. So I only have a -5 to aim. And -2 movement is offset by swiftness. Having the HP regeneration would be good. Then again, considering certain choices... Yeah, you know what? I'm just going to heal it off. The HP regen's not really worth all that. Now if I could just remember where to go to heal things off. Because I got no clue. Quackwagon? Yeah, that sounds about right. Nope, not what I wanted. Then again, I'm low on gold as it is. You know what? I'm just gonna deal with it as is. Now then, if you want to replace Burns, you can head to the Sacred Grounds, let the Indian warrior kill him, after which Cheveo will join your posse. Like I said before, he has base 70 aim, but he has very low max HP. Once you have him in your party, you can head to the Cougar Trails and let him do the talking to get the last meteor piece without any further incidents. If not, if you have Burns in your party and go to the Cougar Trails and choose to shoot at the Cougar, then Warren and Burns will get affected with gushing wound injury. Huh. But I can't guarantee that it's gushing wound. I'll save my cash. Maybe I'll get something else instead. You'll also get a Mammoth Rifle and Eagle Elixir along with the last meteor piece. If Cervantes is in your party, it's pretty much the same as with Burns, but only Warren will get afflicted with the injury after killing the Cougar. After that, it's off to Lookout Hill to get your next posse member. Look for tracks. Many hours later, you were about to give up when you spotted the Cougar. It looked ordinary, except for an unusual pattern on its face and a necklace with a piece of rock tied to it. Shoot it between the eyes. Cougar dodged the bullet and leapt at you, knocking you to the ground. Two of you rolled around the hillside as you desperately reached for your boot knife. When you finally got it loose and slid it between two of the beast's ribs, you sustained grave wounds in the struggle, but the meteor piece was yours. Yet, cracked skull, and Burns has gushing wounds. As you left the area, a sudden shot severely wounded Burns. The sniper was nowhere in sight. Another shot missed you by a hair's breadth. This time you spied him and returned fire with dead aim. As you approached the sniper's corpse, you saw it was one of the natives from the tribe Burns had massacred. They were now extinct, wiped from the planet by the twin hand of fate and mankind's wickedness. But we've also got Keen Eye, which gets us +1 damage. Okay. So I've essentially got -10 aim, plus 12 sight, and let's see, well, 6 max HP going into this. Oh, and +3 movement. +1 damage. I feel like it's okay and worth it. Burns also has the gushing wound. How much? Only 4 HP. Well, we're gonna have to be careful. You know what? I think I'll let this video go a little longer to take care of Lookout Hill. Just because we haven't really had any action beyond all the text. The old fort offered strong defensive positions to whoever managed to get there first. Knowing you'd come for persons, the wizard had set up an ambush with his best men. You had deduced his scheme, however. Now you just had to decide if you wanted to attack now, or let them stew a while. Let us attack. Now, preparations are going to be slightly different depending on who joined. But in Burns' case, you're going to want to give him musket, the one-armed bandit, and the bulletproof vest. I think I'm also going to give him a healing elixir, just to be on the safe side because of his HP. Let's see. Warren will actually get the Navy gun, the musket. And yeah, that's about it. I think I should also give him some healing items. A medical kit. I may as well test out the dried meat, see if it really is temporary in terms of maximum HP. And cards. I think I'll give a couple of aim cards to Burns. As a matter of fact, I'm going to give him both aim cards because of the fact that Warren is going to have a bunch of boosts to his aim once we take care of those injuries and diseases. Defense. First time I've ever seen defense that wasn't 1 on a character. Let's see, luck. Give that to Warren. HP. Let's give transfusion, and that's all the spaces I have. Ooh, it actually turns out we're out of time. Thought I had a little more. Oh, for the love of... You know, I think I'll actually end it off here. No. Yeah, you know what? I'm gonna end it off here for now. Because I thought I had a little more time. I misread my timer, but... Yeah, I'm gonna end off here, and then when we start off tomorrow, we're going to be taking care of this mission. So, if you guys like what you see, please leave a like, subscribe for future content, don't forget to hit that bell icon to get notifications when I upload, or to hit the straw poll link to vote for our next Let's Play. And please, leave a comment down below this video. I'll see you guys in the next episode. Thanks for watching.